Out with the old, in with the new. 1 year later, and we're looking at upgrades once again. What's up, everyone? David here. We got a new video for y'all today. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you miss on any new videos. Because remember, new videos on this channel are Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So don't miss out. Now, you may have noticed what I'm sitting on right now. This is not the same leg press and hack squat machine that you've seen in all my previous videos. No. 1 year later, we're looking at the upgrades. That one machine, 1 year full of gains, but RITFIT, you know what they said? We can do better. They took everything that was wrong with the last machine, the prototype, all the errors, the lack of, gains that people could be making, and they addressed it all with this one. This is a new model right here. We're looking at the 3-in-1 leg press hack squat Gazelle, newer model. 1 year later, got a new machine, sent it over. Hey, give us reviews, the good, the bad, the ugly. Be honest, give us your thoughts. That's what this video is for. So we're gonna break it up into 3 parts. 1, just an overall review of this machine, just giving the breakdown of, the specs, the little things. 2, we're gonna look at what are the major changes. Did they actually change what was wrong with the last model? Did they actually address it? And how well were these changes? How efficient and how effective are they? Are they gonna help us make new gains, or could there still be some areas of work? And in the final part, what are some new things? Because there are quite a bit of things that are different that the last machine didn't have that make this one a hell of a lot better. Let's get into it. So just as a general breakdown, let's start from the floor, make our way up. Number 1, right here, the backrest or footrest, depending on what exercise you're doing. Whether you're doing hack squats, obviously your feet are gonna be on this part. If you're doing leg press, obviously your back is gonna be on this part. Similar to the last model, it is adjustable based on what level you wanna go ahead and put it on. There is a pin down here that you can go ahead and then slide either forward and back. So depending on whatever level it is that you want, you can go ahead and adjust it. Next, moving our way up. Now we're gonna be looking at the padding right here. I will say this padding right here, definitely a lot bigger, definitely a lot thicker than the last one, which, it's nothing inherently bad. The padding up here, definitely a lot thicker. I mean, this thing is solid. There's no way anyone's gonna be tearing that up. As far as the guide rails, definitely a lot thicker, which is not bad. Again, it just seems more sturdy. I will say this machine felt a lot heavier compared to the last one when it came to assembling it and picking up the pieces, which again, I mean, that just makes you feel more reassured that it's built well, it's built good, nothing's gonna break, nothing's gonna snap, nothing's gonna bend. As far as home gym equipment, the quality is definitely up there, rivaling commercial gym made equipment. So all positives. Down here on the sides, we got band pegs that you can go ahead and strap up some bands from down there and then hook them up here. Again, just added variety. The side rails right here, this is what's gonna help you actually unrack the sled so you can go up and down. A little bit different, which we'll talk about it here and there, but definitely, nothing bad. It still gets the job done. As far as adjusting it from either, let's just say a hack squat down to a leg press, real easy. All you gotta do is remove the pin, and then let's go ahead, pick up the pad, and then set it down here, and then so it's not sliding around anywhere. Again, re-add the pad. This is obviously gonna be a big change, which we'll talk about in a bit, but we do have the sled or the foot attachment, whatever you want. I tend to call this one the sled, but you can call it whatever you want. Just pull it down, boom, hear the click, it's locked into place. We'll talk about this. This is gonna be a huge talking point in the next portion of the video. Then right here, we've got some new attachments. Again, a lot of extra padding, a lot of extra length going into, because this is gonna be a new exercise that we didn't get a chance to do before. We'll talk about this towards the end of the video. As far as plate storage goes, and actually weight racks, whatever it is you wanna call it, whether it be to store the plates when you're not using it, or actually using the plates and loading them up to make the exercise heavier, there's 2 different ways. Just like the last machine, we got plate storage down here underneath. Again, that's what makes it a real big space saver, which again, that is one of the biggest selling points when it comes to this machine. You got a limited space, you got a home gym, you don't got all the floor space in the world. This one, compared to any other leg press, any other hack squat machine, you will definitely be saving a hell of a lot more time. But now we actually got room to store plates up here. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then over here on the back end, there were some changes made to where you store the plates. Let's just say I'm done using this one, boom, put it right there off to the side. So again, just overall, just a quick breakdown when it comes to this machine. I mean, we're looking at not too much difference in the last one as far as floor space, the ins and outs, but when you really break it down, the little things, that's what makes this one a hell of a lot better. And that's when you see the errors and the mistakes on the last machine get adjusted and fixed on this one. Now, without a doubt, my go-to exercise, even when it came to the last machine that I had, it was the hack squats. I mean, if you look at all my training videos, you look at all my daily workouts, my morning workouts, all my reels, my TikToks, my YouTube shorts, anything. When it comes to my leg day workouts and I was using this machine, you didn't really see me do a whole lot of leg press, but you saw me do a hell of a lot of hack squats. The only reason why that was is because the range of motion on the last machine, it was a huge problem. When it came down to leg press, every time I came down with the weight, the actual sled will end up touching the bottom part of this rack. So essentially, although yes, I can go a lot lower, I have the mobilities, I got the hips, the knees, the ankle mobility that allows me to move a lot lower and get more range of motion, I literally cannot go any further. The reason why is because of the way the machine was built. All right, there was just simply not enough range of motion. Now, with the hack squat variation of that machine, I was able to get a little bit more range of motion when it came to those squats. But even then, on the last one, when I went down, this part right here of the rack will ultimately touch the bottom part right here. So I'm like, man, if only I could have had just 1 or 2 more inches when it came to that range of motion so I can get a deep stretch in my quad. Because essentially that's the whole reason why I'm doing hack squats. I'm doing it for a lot of quad growth. So I'm like, all right, no big deal. So what I did with the last machine was, and I'm pretty sure, again, you can see it in all my other videos, as I added just a little wooden platform right there on the ground, and then I will stand on it, and those 2 inches of the platform is the exact 2 inches that I needed just to get a little deeper in those squats. But when I saw this machine being advertised, and then when there were, the selling points that, yes, it's addressing the range of motion, you can get a lot deeper in the squats, I'm like, okay, say less. So the first workout I did, I went ahead, got in position, up, unracked, and then when I went down, I'm like, okay, whoa, hold up. This is literally all it goes? Are you kidding me? The look of disappointment and the internal thoughts that I thought I was finally gonna be able to get away with not having to put a wooden platform. I mean, you can see, I can go a lot deeper. So I'm like, what exactly is the issue? Like, am I doing something wrong? So good thing I recorded myself doing it, because then I was looking back at the video, I'm like, no, they kept advertising saying, no, there is more range of motion, that this shouldn't be an issue. I shouldn't be having to rely on that wooden platform. What is happening? I thought maybe the weight plates back here were hitting the ground or something blocking. I'm like, no, something's just not adding up. So I was looking back at the recording and I figured it out. This right here. And I was wondering too, because when I read the instructions on how to build it, I'm like, why does it have this here? What exactly does it do? It's supposed to be a weight stopper. I understand now. If you want to work a very limited range of motion, or you can think of this as the safety rods on a normal squat rack. Think about it. When we squat, usually we have safety rods on the side that allow us to, if you can't get the weight back up, you could just dump it on there instead of having the bar crushed directly down on you. Well, what happens if you're working out by yourself? You go deep on a hack squat on this and you can't get it back up. Instead of it just coming straight down and pinning you, you can adjust how low you go based on pulling the pin, lowering it, and then the lower you go, obviously the more range of motion you have. That is genius, because I'm not gonna lie, there's been some times when I train a failure on this exercise, a hack squat specifically, and I'm pinned, I'm screwed. So look at right here, I have it in the 3rd hold setting. Look how low I can go, boom, and then it hits. It's not a whole lot of range of motion, but if I put it down to the lowest setting, and then get back on it, now we're talking. I'm talking about the full range of motion. No big deal. Now, what I like about this is, look, maximum knee bend. I mean, I'm talking about my hamstrings are literally right up against my calves, and I still got room to add those pulses. Now, every time I use the hack squat, I will no longer need to use that platform, because again, that's exactly the big issue with the last model. It was not enough range of motion. This one finally does it. Again, big issue resolved. And it's not just for the hack squat, even better with the leg press. Like I said, when I had the old model, I was using the hack squat more so because even though, yes, it did have just a little bit of range of motion issues, again, just 2 inches, it was nothing compared to the amount that it had on the leg press. First off, before we go into any further detail about the leg press issue being resolved, let's talk about how do we set it up. Obviously, you just move the pad from up here to down there. Already showed you how to do that. But what's pretty cool about this one is it's flipped, and that's the reason why this is no longer an issue. On the last machine, every time the foot pad was flat for a hack squat and you wanted to go ahead and switch it over to a leg press, you had to grab it from underneath here and then pull it up. This one's the other way around. You grab it from up top, which even has a cutout for your fingers to slide, and you pull down, and then you hear the click. And obviously, just like the last one, it also has varying levels of, you know, with however much setting you want, whatever it is that you want to go ahead and set it to, depending on, you know, what your comfort level is for the angle of this foot pad. But here's the thing. Whereas in now, you're flipping it over from the up going down. The other one wasn't like that. So this portion back here, these brackets were underneath here, because this from right here to right here, this is the portion that slides up and down. On the last machine, this foot pad was at the very top. So the reason why it was such limited range of motion is because the bottom of these brackets, the bottom of this sliding portion right here, this part will touch, boom, down here. And then this was all the way at the top. But now where you actually put your feet is the lowest portion of this whole sliding piece. So now I can go as deep as I can physically on a leg press, and it's not limited by the way the machine is built. So now the only reason why I can't get any deeper on the leg press is because of now my own mobility issues, which is perfect. I can go a lot more with my range of motion. And obviously we all know the more range of motion you have, the more you maximize that knee bend, the more you're gonna see quad growth. Obviously the lower you can go, the more you're gonna be flexing or, you know, bending at the hip. Obviously the more your glute is gonna be stretching, the more it has to contract to get the weight back up. You know, more growth, more range of motion could lead to more growth. And that's the big issue right here. Or I should say that was the big issue with the last one that was addressed here. Foot pad went from up here with brackets down here, clashing down into the rails. No, now it's the other way around. All the brackets are now on the other side of this foot pad. So there's nothing blocking this from going as deep as possible. Since we keep talking about the foot pad, that leads us to the second biggest thing. Okay, good. We addressed the range of motion issue. Perfect, more gains. But another thing, or another reason why I only went on with the hack squat on the last machine was because when it did come to the leg press, the very few times I actually did decide to do it, this itself, how wide it was a huge issue. Now, me personally, you know, I have a pretty average squat stance. Some people, when they squat, just naturally what feels more comfortable for them is going a little bit wider. Some people, they feel comfortable a little bit more narrow. Typically, the same type of stance that you will have when you squat on a barbell is the same type of stance that you should have when you're putting your feet up on the foot pad for a leg press. But the thing was, the foot pad on the last machine, the first model, it was so narrow. And I hated that because essentially half my foot would just be hanging off the edge. So although, yes, I can still go through with actually doing the exercise of the leg press, it just didn't feel comfortable because I always felt like my foot was just going to eventually just, you know, twist or slide off the edge because literally my toes were hanging off the edge. It wasn't that big. It wasn't that tall and it wasn't that wide. How tall it was, that wasn't too much of an issue. I can work around that. But the width, I felt like I was just so condensed in there. Granted, part of the reason why was because this is advertised as being a very home gym efficient and very space saving machine. But even then, I'm like, just a couple inches never hurt anyone. Everyone wants a couple extra inches, right? This right here, it is so wide. I can widen out my feet to the point where I have a comfortable stance on leg press and I still got room on each side. So for whatever reason, if I ever want to go even wider to purposely work a little bit more of my inner thighs, then yes, even better. So huge, huge, huge plus. This is exactly what it is that I needed. And these two issues perfectly resolved. Go back to my initial review video 1 year ago when I first got this machine. Those were the two biggest red flags I said when it came to the machine. The range of motion issue for the hack squat, all right, easy fix. Let's go ahead and get a wooden platform, put it right there, okay? But those realistically, there was no way around this. I couldn't find a way to make this wider. Now, using this machine, putting it through good workouts, doing hack squats, doing leg press, I mean, I'm talking about game changers. So now that we went over all the corrected issues, let's talk about some of the new features that this model has that the original didn't. Number one, it's called the Gazelle. And I'm pretty sure the reason why it's called that is because of this right here. These arm attachments, low-key, kind of looks like, you know, the shape of a gazelle. Go back to the original model. look at the shoulder pads, you know, where you put your traps in your shoulders when you're doing hack squats. Essentially, it was just this portion right here, just the flat piece from right there, roughly a little bit less than a foot. Now it has a little bit extra. It's got 2 additional pads, but not only that, the shape of it. The reason why, the number one thing that you could do now more comfortably, and that's actually meant for good mornings. With the old machine, yes, you can do good mornings, but me personally, I didn't really do the exercise, not because I don't like the exercise of the good morning. It definitely has its time and place. I definitely do feel it's good for the hamstrings, the glute, you know, whatever it is that you're using it for. But every time I tried doing it on the other machine, number one, the pads were just too short. Again, because realistically, a hack squat is not meant for good mornings. A hack squat has the name squat in it, so it's meant for some type of squat variation. Every time I tried doing a good morning on the old one, I literally felt I was so up on the edge of this pad, because again, it only had that one. I felt that if I were to just go any deeper, that my shoulder would just slip off and the entire sled will just come crashing down. Again, if they were just a little bit longer, okay, fine, maybe I would have continued, but I really just felt unsafe doing it. I really felt like I was right up on the edge anymore, and nope, over. This one has the extended arms here, but not just that, the shape of it, the curvature, it actually molds into the shape of your shoulder. So if I were to actually jump on it right here, boom, you see, it's perfect right there. That is the exact curve of my shoulder. So essentially it feels like I'm locking myself in that position. You know, it doesn't feel like it's just sitting on me right here, where if I were to go down just deep enough and then eventually, boom, slip. No, it actually curves to the shape of, you know, my torso. Everyone's shoulder, trap, upper chest area, it's all round like this. So this should be round, and that's why it's angled. So when I tried it out, oh my goodness, I felt so secure on this. Definitely going to be start including more of these in my programming. So all in all, definitely a good attachment. I will say though, just aesthetically, I don't really like the way it looks with these arms like just sticking out. Like it just looks like a bit much, but again, that's just pure cosmetics. That's just pure looks. It has absolutely nothing to do with how effective and how functional the actual way the machine is built. Runs very smooth. Again, this is just purely based off of looks. I like things simple. I don't like when they're overbuilt, and this, you know, to me personally, it just looks a little overbuilt. But again, it's like that because it serves the intention of actually making the exercise even better. And like I said, with the fact of how sore my hamstrings were the next day, you know, it's worth the sacrifice. So that's one of the new features on here, which is definitely a huge plus. Yes, I keep saying on the last machine, I was doing the big 3 exercises, hack squat, leg press, calf raises, but the calf raises was not really one of the big 3 advertised. This one, this exercise, the good morning, is that 3rd exercise. So essentially, now I could do 4 on here. 4 exercises, leg press, hack squat, calf raises, and now good mornings and feeling nice and comfortable with it. There is one downside to this though, and I don't know if it's an issue with me particular and my lack of mobility, but if you were to go ahead, go up, and then try to unrack, it's like, where do I grab? Because I feel like I need to hold on to something. Most of the time we would assume we will grab a handle, but the handles are back here. I feel like I have to like really like almost rotate on one side to grab and then rotate on the other side to grab. I feel like they're too far behind me. I feel like there should be like some type of handle like somewhere right here in front of me. Obviously I can't grab these handles because that's what re-racks the bar. So most likely I'll just end up having to grab onto these, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, no big deal. I can go down and then come up, and then when I'm done, rack it. So again, not a deal breaker. That's just, I wish there was something a little bit more efficient, something to grab onto, because again, just for, you know, you got to put your hand somewhere. But all in all, definitely a good attachment on here. Definitely a big improvement. Definitely a good add-on. And since we're speaking about add-ons, these handles that I was talking about, they are not handles for the good morning. Yes, the old machine, just like this one, has a spot down here where you can add weight plates for, you know, to make the exercise harder or easier. You know, you got to add weight. You're lifting weights. You need to add weight somewhere. Now down there is not the only option. You can also go ahead and add weights up here. Now, for me personally, I don't really see a need for having weight pins up here. I mean, the whole concept behind this machine is that it's space saving. And I feel like if we start adding plates right here, now, whereas in the machine would have ended right here, Now we have the whole length of this pin. It's just gonna be widening it out. It's gonna be taking more room, and especially for, let's just say, depending on how packed your home gym is. For me, in this instance, I got a leg curl machine right here. So if I'm trying to make my way and add plates on this machine or add plates up here, one or the other is gonna get in the way of the other. I mean, I'm talking about, you keep seeing me every time I'm trying to walk in between here, I'm like trying to avoid getting hit by this machine, and I'm trying to avoid getting stabbed by this one. So for me, again, the biggest key point for this, the biggest selling point is space saving. And I feel like this kind of just goes against it because, again, it is taking up space, and I gotta be real careful about the way that I put the plate so I'm not tripping over all my other stuff. But again, if you have the space, it's not that big of a deal. All right, if you got plenty of walking space on each end of the machine, all right, go for it, keep it on there. The good thing about this though is I could easily remove it. So boom, just by removing it, look at this. Now you don't have to see me doing the matrix and going all the way back here. Now I could easily walk side to side, no big issue. For me personally, again, this is just me personally, because I only have so much room in this home gym. I think I'm just gonna permanently keep it off. I have absolutely nothing wrong, and I have no problem with grabbing some of the weight plates and then loading them down below the machine. That's what I did with the original model. That's what I'm gonna continue doing on here. But other than that, again, that's optional. I really like that it's detachable, because again, I'm probably gonna keep them off. It's too much room, and I'm the only one that uses this machine. I already keep the weight down there. I got 100-pound plates down there that I'm just gonna keep loaded at all times, and then just add or remove the 45s and 25s if I feel like going heavier or lighter. But normally, for all of these exercises, 100 pounds on each side, minimum at all times. Let's go ahead and remove this one, make them even. I'll just throw them down there. If I ever wanna add them on, easy, up there. But the last, I wouldn't necessarily say add-on, because it was something that the last machine has, but I guess adjustment was on the last machine. When you're not using the plates on here, let's just say you have whatever weight on there, a 25 just for example, and you want to go ahead and take it off, it did have the weight storage, but the thing was, the weight storage was down on the floor with the weight pins sticking up. So the thing is, I had to slide the machine just out a little bit further to make sure I have enough room to store the plates that way. And once you have enough 45s on there stacked up, or even the 100-pound plates, these black ones are the 100s. I got one right here, and then I got another one right here. You try stacking a 100-pound plate down that way, like this, flat on the ground, and then the only way you can pick it up is by grabbing the thin lip right here. So essentially pinching it with your thumb and your pointer finger. You try doing that, picking up a 100 that way. I don't know, I really hate horizontal, or not even horizontal, what is that, vertical storage like that when the plate is face down or just flat. No, I prefer this type of storage, and that is a huge plus when it comes to this new machine. You're not using the weight. All right, boom. It is so much easier to grab the weight this way right here, and then boom, load it up on there that way. A good thing about it too is now there's two pins, one down here, one up here. Whereas in the last machine, only had one pin down on the ground on one side, one pin down on the ground on the other side. Now I could have room for my big plates, the big diameter plates, my 100s, my 45s, and then this upper one right here. Boom. So because of the last machine, how I didn't utilize that space, those weight pins, I just ended up just sliding all my plates and then just leaning them up against the wall or leaning them up against the post. Since this one, I actually am going to be utilizing this actual upright with the weight pins attachments. That means I have to slide it just a little bit more forward, because obviously if it was right up against the wall, there won't be any room. I need to have enough space right here to cover the entire diameter of the weight plate. But because of that, that meant I have to slide the machine just out a little bit further. And if you're real big on space saving, that might hinder you. The reason why is because when you got a home gym, whether it be backyard, patio, garage, there's only so much space that you have. So you got to maximize the efficiency of it. With the last machine, what I did was I drew an outline of how much space it was taking. So that way, when I put this new one on here, I can go ahead and compare the actual space and how much bigger it is. Now, because I was stepping all over it, it kind of faded away. But if I were to lift this up, you might be able to kind of faintly see it, but it's this line right here. I drew it in red chalk. Let me go ahead and actually just redraw it. So just so you can see how much more this sticks out, which again, it's not a deal breaker, but right there. Maybe you can see this line that I'm following. Boom. So the original machine ended right there. This one
now we got this much space all the way up until this attachment. So again, not a deal breaker, not too bad. I'm pretty sure that if I were to push it up against the very edge of the wall and not utilize the storage space and just lean the plates up against the machine instead of actually putting them on the weight pins, it might take away this much space again, but we still have this little extra add-on here. So again, not a big deal if you have the space. The only thing that changed was I used to have a back extension machine right here. All I had to do was just move it more that way. So now at least I have a little walkway here. But even then, just know that this one does take up just a tad bit more room, which again, for someone, you know, marketing it as a very space efficient and space saving machine, this machine actually is quite a bit bigger. I mean, we're talking about the width of it if you want to go ahead and include the weight pins on each side, which I already said I'm going to remove, and just how far it sticks out. It's the little things like this that, you know, kind of make it a little questionable, but no big deal. Last critique that I have is, and it mainly applies to if you're going to go ahead and use this as a leg press. We put it down in the leg press setting. All right, no big deal. We pull down the pin this way. All right, got that down. All right. Let's just say we're already here. And let's just say we're lifting the weight up. On the last one, it had these safety rods on the side. All right, no big deal. These have a little something different. They curve inwards so that when you grab the handles are actually on the inside of the rod. So you gotta pull them outwards like this, okay? And you know, after we do that, the last machine had a separate set of handles, because again, these are the ones that move to actually catch the weight, you know, if you can't lift it back up, you know, unrack it, up and down, rack it, doesn't move anymore. This one though, after I unrack it, where do I put my hands? There's no additional handles the way the other ones did. And I think that's the reason why they made it so that it curves outwards. So now that it's curved, once you flip it, those are your handles. But the thing is, I have a tendency, you know, when I'm like, you know, lifting heavy, I'm pushing myself, actually trying to make some gains, where you never know, I might clench up my upper body and I might accidentally move these inwards and boom, I could be mid-set, struggling. And the next thing you know, everything's just tensing up. I'm in the heat of the moment. And as I'm going up, oh no, I flipped it over by accident and now it's stopping me from getting more. So that's something I wish I would have liked. I wish they would have kept that from the last machine. Not just have this as a one handle, but have a separate one down here. So, I mean, not a deal breaker. What I'm gonna do is after I flip the weight over, unrack, flip, I'm just gonna grab onto the frame of the actual leg press down here. I mean, essentially it does the same thing. I just need something to hold on to that's stable, that's not gonna move, and then do my set. Once I'm done, grab onto these, flip, and then we're good. So there you have it, everyone. Review of the updated model. RITFIT Gazelle 3-in-1 leg press, hack squat, and good morning machine. I mean, we're talking about lower body gains. Now it's just not all quads and glutes. Now we can have a little bit more hamstring in there by introducing, you know, these extra little attachments right here to go ahead and do some good mornings. All in all, is it a great machine? Yes. Did it address the two real big issues as far as range of motion and actual length and size of the foot pad compared to the old machine? Yes. Is the new additions great? Obviously. Are there still little things here and there that can be tweaked? Obviously. Little things like the handles, the space saving, it's just little things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're letting the little things like that get in the way of you making gains and having a great workout, we got bigger issues that need to be addressed. At the end of the day, no matter what piece of equipment that you get, if you're not pushing yourself hard enough, working out frequently the way that you should, eating the right diet and getting enough rest, you're not taking those big overarching basic fundamentals into play, you're not gonna be getting the results that you want. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you did. And also go ahead and check out the links down below to see how you can go ahead and get your hands on one of these. I'm gonna put everything down there. Just go ahead and give it a try. And just look at all the other equipment that RITFIT has and go ahead and check out some of the other videos I've made, you know, reviewing their products. Definitely great quality, just a good brand overall. So comment down below also any of the video suggestions you'd like to see me do, whether it be about mindset, motivation, nutrition, diets, workouts, programs, whatever it is, comment down below. I'd be more than happy to help y'all out. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new videos, because remember, new videos on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so don't miss out. And then Instagram and TikTok, same thing. Be sure to follow me on both accounts. I put all my links down in the description below. With that being said, I'll catch y'all next time.